For years, I thought I had a productivity problem. So naturally, I tried to solve it by becoming even more obsessed with productivity. Every Sunday, I would sit down with a fresh notebook and design the most ambitious weekly schedule of my life. 8 o'clock write, 10 o'clock edit, 12 o'clock exercise, 2 o'clock client work. It was organized, it was color coded, it was completely unrealistic. Then Monday would arrive, I would open my laptop, read one email, and somehow 45 minutes later, I would be reorganizing folders I had not opened since 2022. By the end of the day, I had completed almost nothing, but still I would be exhausted. And because I had the plan, the time, and the opportunity, I assumed the only possible explanation was that something was wrong with me. I thought I was lazy, I thought I was undisciplined, I thought I was inconsistent. Or maybe I was not hungry enough for the life I kept saying that I wanted so much. But I was wrong. I did not have a productivity problem. I was burned out. And I was trying to cure burnout with better to do lists. That is a little like trying to fix a broken leg by buying better running shoes. And just so we are clear, I did not begin recovering from burnout with a perfect morning routine or a 5 step supplement stack or by waking up at 5 in the morning every day. The first thing that genuinely helped me was much less glamorous but much more useful. I learned how to make rest actually feel like rest. Before we get into it, hi, I'm Pratyansha. I'm a filmmaker, a meditation enthusiast, and someone who spent years believing that the answer to burnout was to become more disciplined. On this channel, we talk about energy, productivity, and building wealth, but without glorifying the kind of hustle that destroys your health in the process. This is the first video in a series about the small, unexpected signs that showed me I was finally recovering from burnout. We are starting with sleep because this was the first place where I noticed that something was genuinely changing in me. But to understand why my sleep was not restoring me, we first need to talk about the mistake I kept making. I was trying to solve burnout as if it were a time management problem. For a long time, my response to struggling was always the same: create a stricter system. If I could not focus, I downloaded another app. If I missed my routine, I built a more detailed routine. And if I felt exhausted, I assumed I needed more discipline. I tried time blocking, habit trackers, accountability systems, early mornings, and enough planners to start a small stationery shop. And some of them worked for 3 days. I would have one intensely productive burst and think, there it is, I'm fixed. Then I would collapse again. The problem was that I kept treating my body like a badly managed employee. I thought it needed closer supervision, stricter deadlines, and fewer breaks. But my body was not refusing to work because it lacked instructions. It was refusing because years and years of pressure and the urgency and that never feeling like I had done enough, it had started associating work with danger. And when something feels dangerous, your brain does not calmly open Google Docs and writes chapter 1. It tries to protect you. Sometimes that protection looks dramatic, but sometimes it looks like scrolling, procrastinating, over planning, cleaning your desk, or suddenly deciding you need to do a research or switch to a completely different career. From the outside, that can look like the laziness, but internally, it can be an overwhelmed system searching for relief. This was the first reframe that really helped me. Procrastination was not always evidence that I did not care. Sometimes I cared so much and had attached so much pressure to the outcome that it started feeling emotionally expensive. Once I understood that, I stopped asking only, how do I make myself do this? And I began asking a better question, which was, what is making this feel unsafe, overwhelming, or impossible right now? That question did not magically complete the task for me, but it helped me diagnose the real problem. Sometimes the task was too vague. Sometimes it was too large. Sometimes I was afraid people would judge me for the result. Sometimes I was genuinely exhausted. And sometimes If I'm being honest, the task simply was not important to me. I had put it on the list because the internet told me that a successful person should do it. Each of those problems needs a different solution. Try harder is not a useful answer to all the five. But understanding this was only the beginning. The first real sign that something inside me was changing appeared in a place I was not expecting, and that place was my sleep. When I was deeply burned out, I could sleep for straight 8 or 9 hours and wake up feeling as if somebody had been assigning me tasks in my dreams. Sometimes I was physically exhausted but unable to fall asleep because my mind was still working. I would replay conversations, calculate how much time I had wasted, think about unfinished tasks, and negotiate with tomorrow's version of me. I would say things like, tomorrow I'll wake up early, tomorrow I'll catch up, tomorrow I'll become a completely different person. Then tomorrow would arrive, already carrying yesterday's baggage. The mistake I made was assuming rest meant the absence of activity. But you can lie on the sofa while mentally punishing yourself for lying on the sofa. You can take a day off while constantly checking whether everyone else is moving ahead of you. You can sleep for 10 hours while your body remains on alert. Technically, you have stopped working, but your system has not received the message that work is over. So I started experimenting with what I now think of as a shutdown signal. At the end of the day, I wrote down every unfinished task. Not because I was trying to be more productive, but because my brain no longer had to rehearse the list all night in case I forgot what I had to do the next day. I stopped consuming content in the evening that made me compare my life to somebody else's highlight reel. And I practiced doing things that had no productive justification at all. That last one was surprisingly uncomfortable. I had become so used to earning rest that rest without a reason felt irresponsible. If I had not completed enough work, I did not feel that I deserved to stop and take rest. But when I refused to stop, I never properly recovered. And because I never properly recovered, I had even less energy to work the following day. I had accidentally created a cycle. I could not work because I was exhausted. I could not rest because I felt guilty about not working. And then I became even more exhausted. Breaking the cycle did not require me to become more disciplined. It required me to show my body that the working day was allowed to end even when everything was not finished. Slowly, my body learned that nothing terrible happened when I stopped. The first sign of recovery was not that I suddenly bounced out of bed at 5 in the morning, full of energy and purpose. It was much simpler than that. I began waking up without feeling that I had already failed the day. Try this three-line shutdown system. If your mind continues working long after you have closed your laptop, you can try this tonight. Before bed, write down three things. One, what I finished today. This reminds your brain that the day was not complete failure because something remains unfinished. Two, what can wait until tomorrow. You're not abandoning those tasks, you are giving them somewhere to live other than inside your head. And three, what I'm officially allowed to stop thinking about tonight. The third one is the most important one. You might write something like, I'm allowed to stop thinking about the video I have not finished, or I'm allowed to stop thinking about the work that I have not finished, or I'm allowed to stop thinking about the email I need to answer. Or you can say things like, I'm allowed to stop trying to solve my entire life by tonight. This exercise will not only remove every responsibility, but it can also instantly cure burnout. And it also creates a clear boundary between working and resting. It tells your body, I have recorded what matters, I'm not going to forget it, and I'm allowed to stop now. Learning how to stop was the first thing that genuinely changed my relationship with burnout. Not working harder, not finding the perfect routine or the perfect solution, not becoming more disciplined. and learning how to let the working day end peacefully. Because sometimes the reason you cannot begin tomorrow is that some part of you never finished working today. So tonight, try the 3 line shutdown method and write down what you finished, what can wait, and what you're officially allowed to stop thinking about. And then give yourself permission to let the day end. This was the first sign that I was recovering. The second sign was that ordinary tasks finally stopped feeling like emergencies. I no longer felt as if one unanswered email, one delayed video, or one unproductive day could destroy my entire future. This is what we are going to talk about in the next video. So, if traditional productivity advice has never worked for you, subscribe and join me for the rest of this burnout recovery series. Here we are learning how to build energy, productivity, wealth without burning ourselves out to get there. And let me know in the comments what is the one thing you're officially allowing yourself to stop thinking about tonight. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.